She has a massive level of influence, and she's been making videos regarding body positivity towards her smaller body. She doesn't have curves, and in particular, she doesn't have boobs. That's what she talks about pretty much all the time. And she's also always identified online as somebody who was accepting and loving of that body type. She loved her flat chest. She really embraced it, and people resonated with that. She was a great role model for those with a similar body type. So imagine the horror when after 6 years of posting this body positivity and flat chest content, she randomly shows up on social media to announce that she got a boob job. People were furious. They're so pissed off. Like, how could you do this to us? You being accepting of your body made us accepting of ours, and now it all feels like a lie. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Influencer Insanity. It has been a month since I've sat down to film a video, and that's because I've been really busy dealing with a quite stressful cross-country move. We moved from Florida to Seattle for my husband's job. We're in a new house, and as I'm sure you've already noticed, I have somewhat of a new backdrop for my videos. For 4 years, it's just been me and my trusty old plant back there. When we first moved to Florida back in 2021, I took this fake plant from my living room, I stuck it in the background, and I was like, that'll do for now. I'll come up with something better later. And then I just never changed it. So with this move, I finally took the opportunity to add some more pizzazz back here like I've always wanted to, while still incorporating the plant, because I was talking about this on my Instagram stories about how I was going to be moving and changing my background. And I got hundreds of messages of people telling me that if I leave out the plant, they will riot. So the plant stays. But now she's got a couple more friends joining her. And I think that I'm going to change this stuff out seasonally maybe. I think it could be kind of fun to swap it out every so often. But for now, I've got a few of my favorite anti-mlm and influencer culture books, as well as this absolutely stunning piece of artwork that a viewer surprised me with in my P.O. box right before we moved. I was actually going to the post office to close my P.O. box and this was sitting in it. I loved it so much, I immediately got it framed and then I packed it into a box for safekeeping for the move. And then when I was unpacking boxes once we got here, I rediscovered it, fell in love with it all over again, and I just couldn't help but display it back there. Thank you so much, Rose, for capturing all of my favorite things into one art piece. I love and adore this, and I'll cherish this more than you know. And I also can't help but point out the irony that you saw by the title of this video that we're going to be talking about creators and influencers who have changed. And here I am changing and being like, here's my new filming setup. Like, I understand the irony behind that. I get it. And that's kind of why I wanted to start my first video back on this topic, because I think it's kind of funny, honestly. But today we're specifically going to cover the phenomenon of influencers who have built their audiences really organically based on things like their authenticity, their relatability, and their likability, and their honesty as well. And then somewhere down the line, as they grow bigger and bigger, they lose sight of themselves and they transform into like the completely opposite kind of person that they became known for. And as a result, they kind of lose the respect and the trust of that original audience, those who got them there in the first place. And they alienate these original supporters because they've let things like fame or money or views go to their head, and they become somebody that the original followers no longer recognize. It's a really sad and unfortunate, like, relatable to unrelatable pipeline that a lot of influencers participate in as a result of their rapid growth, and they kind of lose themselves and the support of many of their original followers in the process. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Influencers who have changed for the worse. They're doing things they said they'd never do, they're acting in ways they said they'd never act, and they're becoming a person that you thought they'd never become. And there's also a lot of nuance to this conversation as it pertains to parasocial relationships and viewer expectations of creators, as well as just the rat race of social media and the motives maybe behind why influencers change, because it might be an intentional social media strategy to grow further, or it could be an unintentional thing that's happening just as things are getting to their head and they're changing slowly over time and they don't realize it's happening. So we're going to be talking about all of these different dynamics and how those things impact their success in the long term. I do want to give the quick disclaimer that change is a good thing. People are supposed to change because that's a sign of growth, and it's not fair to expect that people remain frozen in time in the exact state that you want to see them in. And it's also not fair to expect that creators or influencers operate like robots, just pumping out the exact content that you demand of them without any growth or change or evolution over time. Things change, people change, as they should. So that's what makes this video topic really fascinating and very nuanced, as you'll see, because on one hand, it's great that people change and and that's expected. But on the other hand, the way that some of these influencers are changing is really jarring and it's hard to swallow, and it evokes a lot of negative emotions from their followers, and it kind of hinders them more than it helps them in a way because of the choices they've made and how they've chosen to handle their evolution. I can't wait to dig into this. I trust that you'll let me know your thoughts down in the comments below because this is a really cool conversation, I think. And speaking of cool conversations, when is the last time you really prioritized getting to know your partner? I don't care if you've been together for 1 week or 1 decade or 1/2 a century, there's always more to learn. And if you're like me and you've been married and living together for years, it's really easy to fall into that routine of like, how was your day? Fine. How was work? Good. What do you want for dinner? I don't know. And that's kind of the extent of you inquiring about each other's day. Thankfully, the Paired app is here to help you facilitate those more meaningful, deeper conversations with your partner that you might not otherwise have. My husband and I have been using the Paired app since 2021. That's almost as long as I've been making YouTube videos, and I'm very excited that they're sponsoring today's video. They've been a longtime supporter of the channel, which I'm so grateful for, but my husband and I were using the app long before they ever became a sponsor. We genuinely love it, and I know you will too. Paired is a relationship care app designed to help couples strengthen their communication and deepen their emotional connection. There are daily activities that you complete with your partner on pretty much any topic you can imagine: communication, conflict, sex and intimacy, money and finances, home and work, and you can select all kinds of activities based on these topics. My favorite type of activity on the app are the daily questions because we each have to type out our responses in our own words. And the coolest part to me is that you have to submit your own responses before you can unlock your partner's, as a way to kind of ensure that you're both answering from the heart and you're not being swayed by one another. The questions can be as lighthearted as, if you had an unlimited budget for a once-in-a-lifetime experience, what would you spend it on? Or the questions can be a bit deeper and more serious, like imagine it's 20 years from now. What would your older self be the most grateful for about your relationship with your partner? There are even some where you respond with a photo, which I think is really cute. This prompt said, which memory would you love to relive together? And in the process of trying to pick a photo to answer this question, you're like scrolling through memory lane looking at all your photos together, and I think that's really sweet. And there's also lots of spicy activities too that I'm not going to put on the screen right here. You'll just have to discover those for yourself. To maintain and deepen connection with your partner, you can click my link in the description box below, and that's going to give you a 7-day free trial plus 25% off Paired Premium. Thanks again to the Paired app for their longtime support of not only the channel, but also my relationship. I want to kick off this video with this first example because it is such a stark and sudden shift in content that it's really perplexed me for the past couple of months. I have spent so much time, more time than I would like to admit, quite honestly, thinking about this creator's change in their content and why they would have done this. Because his content to me felt really unique and impactful and meaningful, and there was a reason why I followed him, and then he became the reason that I would not want to follow him. Just a couple months after I followed him, he became the kind of creator that I actively avoid. He's become the complete opposite of what he portrayed himself as initially, and this transition happened literally overnight from one day to the next. So I've really been wrestling with my own feelings of disappointment about that, while also trying to analyze from a creator perspective, like why would he do this? Why would he make that change? So I'm hoping that we can kind of like discuss this and work through this together. This creator goes by the name Hubs.life on Instagram and TikTok, and he is what I would call a creator gone influencer. For nearly 2 years, he would post daily videos of himself working his 9-to-5 corporate job. He would create these little mini vlogs where he would document himself getting ready for the day, making his lunch, commuting to the office, working in his cubicle at his corporate job. Then he goes home and he spends his evenings making dinner, hanging out with his wife and his dog, and working out and being a parent, enjoying a beer on the couch and watching sports, like very normal, average stuff. He was living out the routine of a very structured working class life that really doesn't get a lot of representation on social media. He would also regularly highlight his gratitude towards things like his paid lunch breaks and his benefits and his health care, how it's kind of nice to be able to clock in for work, do your work, and then go home and do things you enjoy doing in your free time. His whole shtick was to normalize the normal and be that reflection of an average, normal, working class guy that so many people can actually relate to in a world of so many unrelatable influencers. He was like a breath of fresh air. He was almost like an anti-influencer. He didn't call himself that, but that's kind of how I viewed him. And these are all the reasons why I and 1.5 million others started following him. Because I think it's really important to be mindful of the kinds of creators you follow and the content you consume. Do you want to surround yourself with these out-of-touch, mega-rich influencers living these extravagant, expensive lifestyles that you can't relate to on any level? And when you watch it, it just kind of makes you feel like you're lacking in your own life and you're not really content with what you have? Or do you want to be consuming real content from real people living a real life and who are showing happiness and gratitude and contentment towards that simple life that they've built for themselves? I don't personally work a traditional 9-to-5 job. I am also a full-time content creator, ironically, but I followed Hubs.life because his daily videos felt really grounding to me. They're a really nice daily reminder that social media is not real. This is how most people live, and this is okay, and this can bring you fulfillment. Most people are just out here living a simple life, working for a living, and doing things they enjoy on the evenings and weekends, and that can be enough. So much of the feedback that he would get on his content was like, thank you for representing something normal. This kind of lifestyle has been sort of demonized on social media because it's sad, it's boring, it's depressing to have this really repetitive life where you just wake up and go to work and come home. But there is kind of another way of looking at that. It's comfortable, it's safe, it's predictable, it's stable, you have a good work-life balance, and there's a lot of beauty in that if you look for it, and his content kind of highlighted that. And this was his entire brand. This is what he built his platform on. This is what people followed him for. So imagine the shockwave it sent through his followers when one day he posts a video about how it's his last day of work. I'll read through this video for you. This blew up and people were stunned. His video says, "My last day at my 9-to-5," and he's packing up and getting ready to go to the office like he normally does. And it says, "Yep, you read that right," because people are shocked. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean it's your last day? "Today marks the end of an era," he says. "I've been struggling for a while now. Imagine working a full-time job, filming that full-time job, editing and posting a video of that job every day for 700 plus days, and becoming a new dad on top of that. It starts to wear on you. You start to show up less in all facets of life. You start going through the motions in everything you do. You start forgetting why you started this in the first place. So I've made this decision based on what's best for myself, my family, and you guys. Today, I will be leaving my 9-to-5 to pursue a new kind of 9-to-5. And then he puts the quote on the screen, "A person often meets his destiny on the road he took to avoid it." For weeks, he was using this really vague language of, "I'm pursuing a new kind of 9-to-5. And honestly, the way he navigated this annoyed me so much. He would post videos like this where he would say, "My morning routine before my new 9-to-5. And then he'd show himself going to the office and into my new cubicle. Or this one says, "You left the 9-to-5, but you're still working 9-to-5. And this one says, "Day in the life of a dad with a new career." And he's posting all of these things without ever addressing what his new 9-to-5 job career is. Well, I'm here to tell you, it's influencing. He left his job as a benefits analyst at a Fortune 500 company to become a full-time influencer. But it took at least a couple of weeks for people to actually catch on to the fact that's what he's doing because he wasn't being upfront and honest about it from the jump. In fact, I think he was strategically being very vague about the fact that he was going to become an influencer to try and like soften the blow to his followers maybe and not lose a bunch of people right off the bat. And I think that's why he was phrasing things very intentionally, like, "It's my new 9-to-5, my new career," like still using kind of these corporate terms to almost give the impression that like, well, maybe he just got a different 9-to-5 job, or maybe he's becoming self-employed, or maybe he's starting his own business or his own company or something. And people were really confused for a while. They were like, "Oh no, we're losing you to influencing." But then they were like, "Oh, wait, never mind. I see you going to an office and you're saying that you're working a 9-to-5. So glad to see that you're still working. I'm so happy you didn't become an influencer." There were a lot of comments like this one. "I'm happy to see that you didn't pursue content full time. This feels very normal," on a video of him going to the office. And it's like, oh, psych, I think you misunderstood. He actually is, in fact, pursuing content full time, but the reason you see him going to an office space is because he's renting out a cubicle in a shared co-working office. Rather than doing his influencer stuff at home, he's wanting to go to a different location to get that work done, in the same way that you go to like a coffee shop or the library or something. His workspace space physically looks like a corporate setting in the background, but he's not working a corporate job anymore. He's an influencer now. And I think the way he's positioning these videos, the language he's using, the locations he's filming in, it is a very strategic thing to ease his audience into the reality that he's kind of becoming essentially the thing that he's been advocating against for years. The entire brand is built on normalizing 9-to-5s and communicating the message that this is normal and you can be happy and fulfilled doing this thing. Yet by virtue of him quitting his 9-to-5 to pursue influencing, that communicates the opposite message. That tells the viewers that this actually is going to make me happier. There's some more value in influencing than there was at my 9-to-5, or else I wouldn't have pursued it. When it really came down to it, he ditched the 9-to-5 to become an influencer, presumably because it was the better option or it offered him more value in some way. So naturally his followers feel really blindsided, really duped, kind of offended, and they've collectively lost a lot of respect for him. His comment sections look a lot like this these days. I don't know why creators do this. They quit or stop doing the thing that made their platform. Nah, we're here to watch you struggle with us. Come on. Every relatable TikToker has an ending. Your success was based on being relatable to us normal 9-to-5 people. With your content, it felt decent to do normal work. The fact that now even you are leaving 9-to-5 shows us that we are worth nothing. And you know, I think all of that is very valid criticism and very valid feelings. How can you drill it into our brains day after day for years that 9-to-5s are good and fulfilling, yet you turn around and you ditch the 9-to-5 at the first opportunity when you realize that you could be happier and make more money doing influencing? It's just really disingenuous and sad to watch, and people are understandably very disappointed because he was put in a position of being able to choose to become an influencer, to choose that path that would be more advantageous for him in his life because of people who supported his original content normalizing 9-to-5s. And it's a tumultuous dynamic that develops where viewers and followers are sort of like, hey, I got you to where you are today, you know? Maybe not individually, but like we collectively as your following have been here for years, supporting you, following you, liking your videos, viewing your videos, and without us, you couldn't get brand deals. You wouldn't be where you are today. You wouldn't have 1.5 million followers. You couldn't make the choice to become an influencer if it wasn't for us. That's a very simplistic way to boil that down, but that's kind of why people take it personally. Like, oh, okay, well, you're telling us to kick rocks now that you have an opportunity to go do something better. However, there's another side to this conversation. Some people are saying things like this. So I'm confused. He was given an opportunity to better his life. He took it just like any normal person would. Are y'all saying it's not relatable anymore? And Hubs.life liked that comment and put little arrows up like, yeah, this, everybody. This man won in life, grinded a full-time job and content creation and being a dad, got to quit his job and pursue his dream, and we responded by hating? He grinded for us and we hate. Shame on y'all. And he liked that one too. Why did everyone turn on him for being successful? Now, this is a really interesting angle for people to take, and I can also kind of understand this side of it. We have to remember that the man behind this account, his name is Connor. He's a real guy. He's a young man with a wife and a baby and a dog, and he worked extremely hard creating new content every single day for over 700 days in a row while working a full-time job, while caring for a new baby. And he built his following very organically and authentically. So some people view this change as like he's cashing out on all of his hard work. He put in the work, he found the success, he's deserving of that success, and we shouldn't fault him for capitalizing on his social media growth and kind of taking it and running with it. Good for him. We should be supportive of somebody chasing their dreams and putting their family in a better position. And I think once you remember that this is a real person with a real life and a real family to provide for behind this account, it's maybe easier to understand why he would make this decision just on like a basic human empathetic level. If he's gonna make more money and have more flexibility and be able to spend more time with his family while his kids are young, wouldn't you want those things for him? Wouldn't you want him to do something that makes him happy? Of course. And if you were in that position, you'd probably make the same choice if you're being honest with yourself. So it's a really hard thing to balance with that I find myself struggling with too, because it does sting. It comes across like he was a sellout. As soon as the influencing thing became lucrative enough, he forgot his roots, he completely changed himself and his content, and he became the exact thing that people are tired of seeing and the exact opposite of what they initially followed him for. And it's hard to not take it personally when he stops creating the content that you love him for. And this is where the discussion of parasocial relationships with content creators comes in, because where is the line between feeling like this creator works for you and for your needs and remembering that, wait, they're a real life person with their own needs. A parasocial relationship is defined as a one-sided bond that a viewer or a fan develops with a public figure or a celebrity or an influencer. You're exposed to this person and to their life through media, and you sort of feel like you know them, and you feel like you're kind of friends with them, and you know intimate details of their life. And you feel attached to them on that level, but they have no idea that you exist. So what can happen in the social media space is that viewers or followers start to feel like creators owe them something. And viewers can get upset when their favorite creators don't do things the way they want them to. Whether that's because the creator has to take a prolonged break from posting because they have something going on in their personal life, and you as the viewer feel upset about that because you don't have any new content to watch. And this particular dynamic is fresh in my mind because the exact same thing happened to me recently. There was one really unhinged comment in particular of somebody being like, "Why are you not posting consistently? I like to watch your videos on Mondays. They make my Mondays better, and now I'm sad because I don't have videos to watch." And it's like, I understand your frustration, but also I'm moving. Like, I got things to do. I'll be back when I'm back, and I'm sorry for the inconvenience. So that's the parasocial relationship dynamic I'm talking about, where viewers might get angry at a creator for some reason, like they're not posting regularly, the creator says something that you don't like or that you don't agree with, or in the case of the topic of today's video, the creator then changes their content to become something that you're not interested in, and you feel mad about that. This is a really fascinating dynamic that I think about so much because I can totally see both sides of it, being a viewer and a creator myself. From the viewer perspective, it sucks when your favorite creator switches up on you. You feel like they took something from you. You followed them because they were unique in a certain way and they brought something different and new and fresh to the table, and it is really disheartening when you just watch them assimilate into the things that you don't like seeing. Like, wait, you were my comfort creator for that one specific thing and now you've changed and I've lost it and I'm upset. But from a creator perspective, this is your life. You are more than the content you produce, so if you're not happy doing this, then you have every right to change it and do what's going to make you happy. You have to make the decisions that are best for you. This is your life. You're allowed to be selfish with it, and you shouldn't let strangers on the internet put you in this box and dictate what kind of content you create. But with that being said, big caveat, if you're gonna switch up your content, you've got to be prepared for backlash. If you're going to deviate from the box that you have put yourself in by making a very specific kind of content in a specific niche, then you need to be prepared for some level of backlash when you step outside of that box. And the further you stray from the content that people originally came to you for, then the more support you can expect to lose. It's a really bad look when you become the thing that you've been actively taking a stand against, you know? You may or may not know that I also make a lot of anti-MLM content on my channel in addition to these influencer insanity videos, and that would be like me denouncing MLMs for years. I make hundreds of videos, hours and hours of content, making my opinion on MLMs very abundantly clear that I do not like them, I do not support them. And then I turn around and I join an MLM, you know? Like, it doesn't make any sense. I have to be prepared for people to be really angry about that because it doesn't fit with my personal brand at all. It's the exact opposite of what I said I was. A choice like that would diminish my character. I would probably lose a lot of support, and I can't act shocked when that happens. So it's interesting because I wonder if creators really fully consider the risk versus the reward when pursuing changes like this. They might think that shifting their content is going to be advantageous for one reason or another, but is it really worth sacrificing that much support for? Because at the end of the day, if you don't have the support of your following, you have nothing in the world of content creation. You cannot be a successful creator if you don't have that support. So to me, it seems like you're really jeopardizing that support, really putting it all on the line out there by alienating so much of your original audience when you make these complete 180 shifts. I'm really curious to see how this is going to work out for Hubs.life, because right now he's just doing all the typical influencer stuff and people don't like to see it. They're kind of sick of it. He's just filming his daily life, staying at home, promoting products. People are over it, and that kind of content doesn't really add value to the world. And so it's sort of like he quit his job to become an influencer where he makes money off of brand deals, but his following is annoyed by the brand deals, which probably means they're not going to buy the products he's promoting. They're not going to engage with those sponsorships. He's not going to have a good conversion rate with these brands, and then the brands are going to drop him. And what good was this decision to become an influencer to make money on brand deals if you don't have any brand deals anymore? I'm not saying he's doomed for that destiny, but I'm just saying, like, that's the thought process I would have probably run through in my head before making this huge decision to quit my full-time stable job. His content has completely lost the charm that he got big on, in my opinion. I don't view his videos the same way. I kind of feel like I might unfollow him because why would I follow him at this point? And I was noticing that his views are way down in the past couple months since he made this announcement of his content shift, so I'm not sure that this was really the smartest business decision for the long term. Hubs.life is a good example of a creator changing their content literally overnight, but that's not how it usually goes. That's kind of a rare occurrence, actually. What usually happens instead is that creators just slowly morph over time into somebody that you no longer recognize, usually as a result of newfound wealth. They start out being super humble and relatable and down to earth, but then they begin blowing up and they start making more money. And then they morph into this insufferable, out of touch person always shoving their money in your face. And it's like, hold on, didn't you try once upon a time to come off as relatable and humble? Like, that's why I followed you. Why can't I relate to anything you're posting now? Oh, right, because you got that new money now, and I can't relate to your newfound level of wealth. Jaclyn Hill and Macy Blackwell are the two influencers that I first thought of when it comes to letting money go to their heads and changing the essence of their content based on that. So let's start with Jaclyn. She's got over 8 million followers on Instagram and over 5 million subscribers on YouTube. Jaclyn Hill has had her fair share of controversies over the years. There are tons of expose style videos on YouTube about her rise and fall. There's a 2-part series that I feel like was masterfully done on Jaclyn Hill. It's called The Cautionary Tale of Jaclyn Hill, posted by Not the Good Girl is her username on YouTube. I'll link those 2 videos in the description box below if you want to check them out yourself. But between those 2 parts, there's nearly 3 hours of deep dive analysis into Jaclyn and her life and her controversies and her transformation. Like, I think you should definitely check that out if you're interested in her specifically, because she's kind of the perfect case study when it comes to somebody being so normal and relatable and then capitalizing on that in a big way. And then that newfound wealth just absolutely rots away at their likability. So the very quick overview version of Jaclyn's story is that she started out making super humble makeup tutorial videos on YouTube in 2011. She was young, spunky, she was working at a MAC Cosmetics makeup counter, and her passion for makeup and beauty was radiating off of her. She was captivating and engaging, and people quickly followed along. By 2013, her social media presence was very strong. By 2015, she started having really big collaborations with massive makeup brands like Morphe and Becca. And eventually she launched her own brand called Jaclyn Cosmetics, and her fame and success was compounding. She was the it girl of the time. She was the YouTuber to follow. She had the it factor. People loved her. Her fan base was really loyal and very strong. She grew organically and her hard work was paying off tremendously. But, because there's always a but, right? Around 2018 is when I'd say that it felt like her content started to take a shift. This was after her extremely successful collaboration with Morphe Cosmetics on her Jaclyn Hill eyeshadow palette. This was a 35 shade palette that sold for $38, which was very affordable. At the time, she was still riding the wave of relatability and humility, and damn, did she sell some palettes, okay? It was an affordable product with a versatile shade range. It was accessible to everyone, and she even had the words, "This palette is dedicated to all of my loving subscribers," printed on the inside of the packaging. This collaboration was a smash success. It made Jaclyn Hill millions of dollars overnight. And as a result, rather than the makeup tutorials and the product reviews that we're used to seeing from Jaclyn, we now start to see videos like this one pop up on her channel. This is her closet tour video. This is where everything takes a turn for the worse, in my opinion. She's recently come into an unimaginable amount of money, and she's wasting no time flaunting it to her subscribers. Handbags, shoes, jewelry, and clothing worth more than some people's entire existence, all in one closet. The intro to this closet tour video is perhaps one of the most tone-deaf and cringiest things I've ever seen on YouTube. It's clear that she's playing a role. She's putting on a persona. Look at me. I'm so rich. I have so much money. And it's becoming clear to the viewer like, oh crap, we're losing Jaclyn. The money's going to her head. She's becoming somebody that we don't recognize. And in terms of her content, I don't think she's truly recovered from this moment in time. She's never really had that same lovable spark about her that she had before the eyeshadow palette, because now she's too caught up in the dang money. In fact, she doesn't strike me as being passionate about the art of makeup at all anymore, really, or like educating people on makeup techniques or doing tutorials or genuine product recommendations. What she seems to be passionate about these days is making a quick buck. She rarely uploads to YouTube anymore. She rarely makes the content that she became best known for. And now Instagram seems to be her primary platform, which is crazy to me because she was like the YouTuber of the time. And my God, you guys, she's on her Instagram stories every every single day linking products without fail, claiming that this is the best product ever. No, that's the best product ever. No, I like this. No, I like that. It's maddening. The bulk of her social media presence is primarily on Instagram, specifically Instagram stories, where she is one big sales pitch. She knows that she is a phenomenal salesperson, and she's very convincing in the way that she talks about products. And so her whole thing these days is just to do the classic influencer product pushing thing where she's just shoving commissionable links down your throat at every turn. I worked on the notes for this video over the span of 4 days, and during those 4 days, I just went to Jaclyn's story and I just screenshotted every time that she would share a link, kind of as evidence to this point that she can't stop linking things. And she posted everything from skincare to shampoo to pajamas to clothing sets to vitamins to boots to perfume. She's all over the place. It's not just cosmetics, it's not just beauty anymore. It's literally anything with a commissionable link, Jaclyn Hill is sharing about it. And this is what she is like 7 days a week, always linking something new, like it's the best thing ever. Somebody asked her what her skincare routine was, and so she took that opportunity to link an Amazon list with 50 skincare products, 50. There's just no way, okay? There is no way that 50 skincare products are all your favorites. There's no way she uses all of these, okay? And please keep in mind, all the screenshots that I've just shown you are from the span of 4 days. It's not a coincidence, it's not a one-off example. This is how she operates day after day after day. It is exhausting. And in my eyes, she's not trustworthy, she's not authentic, she's money hungry, and she would sell you rocks if she could. And it's really sad because there was once upon a time when people would take what she said as gospel. She had people's full trust. If Jaclyn's recommending it, you better buy it because you know it's going to be good. But that trust has diminished over the years as a result of her failed businesses as well as controversies with product quality within those businesses. She's had multiple failed businesses in the last couple years alone. She had Jaclyn Cosmetics, which is sadly best known for her lipsticks with major quality control issues. They had like hairs and fibers in the formula. That business is now shut down. Then she had a jewelry line called Jaclyn Roxanne, and that's gone too. Then she had a comfort brand that sold things like PJs and blankets, and she called it Cozy, where she totally ripped off the name and spelling of another smaller creator by the same name. That company is gone now after lots of backlash. So what's left as far as Jaclyn's income streams is commissionable links and sponsorships, and the occasional ad revenue off of an occasional YouTube video that she posts. And viewers can feel that when they consume her content because everything is a product pitch. To me, this is gonna sound really harsh. Jaclyn does not produce content of value anymore. She peaked quite a few years ago, and now she's resting on her laurels and she's trying to squeeze commissions out of those loyal followers who are still sticking around through all of the controversies from her prime YouTube days. When you used to follow her, you would get makeup tips and honest product reviews from somebody with this crazy, outgoing, spunky, bubbly personality that you felt like you could relate to and it just drew you in. Now when you follow her, you get inundated from links from someone who appears to be very, very rich, but is also like desperate for product commissions. It's pitch after pitch after pitch, link after link after link with nothing of value in between. I personally feel like successful content creation should be 90% giving and 10% taking. 90% of your content should be offering something to the viewer, posting something of value, posting something that you're not expecting anything out of in return. This is your content, this is the reason people follow you. And then 10% can be dedicated to things like sponsorships and commissionable links, because I get it, it's a job. A big reason why creators can continue to create content of value is because they have that funding from things like sponsorships and links. It's an essential part of the business and that's fine, but it should not be the bulk of your content. It shouldn't be the only thing you have to offer your viewers. It's not sustainable, number one, and people hate it because they feel like they're being taken advantage of. And like, what's the point in following you if you're just gonna take from me? And with Jaclyn, product linking is 90% of her content, and it has been for a long time. I feel like if you just started following Jaclyn in the past few years or so, you'd probably think to yourself, how did this girl get famous? Why does she have so many followers? Why do people care about her and support her? Because it appears like the only thing she does these days is push random products while also not so subtly flaunting her wealth and her possessions. Like when she is posting something unrelated to a brand deal, it usually has something to do with organization, like clean out my closet with me because I have too many clothes and I just don't know what to do with them all. Or here's my Stanley Cup collection, or decorate my beautiful living room with all these art pieces with me. And I guess for some people that kind of stuff might be interesting, but I would say overwhelmingly she's not offering anything of interest or value on her social media anymore. And through her series of failed businesses and scandals, she's lost a lot of support from that original subscriber base, and it feels like she's kind of lost sight of herself and of her original purpose. She doesn't have that same drive or passion anymore, and it's like she's still trying to figure out where she fits in now and where she goes from here. Macy Blackwell is another influencer who's become unrelatable thanks to her newfound wealth, but unlike Jaclyn Hill, Macy has somewhat stuck to her original style of content. She hasn't lost herself, she's just become a more extreme version of herself. You can tell that the money is pushing her content to an unrelatable level now. I like to call this the content feeds the income feeds the content, where the more and more money an influencer makes, the more they're able to reinvest back into their social media business to make even more shocking content that pulls in more views and more engagement, leading to more money. Macy's got over 2 million followers on both Instagram and TikTok, and she started out doing these very cutesy, very modest DIY home decor and recipe type videos. She's basically like a Pinterest board in human form. Her account is great for seasonal inspiration on things like decor and party planning, and she would post these really short form videos doing these really easy, accessible, affordable projects or recipes that pretty much anybody could recreate easily for themselves, like putting seasonal candy into jars for easy decor, or make a layered drink that's red, white, and blue for 4th of July, or here's a really quick and easy crock pot soup recipe that the family will love. It's that kind of thing. That's what she was posting very regularly starting in 2022. And I have kind of a side tangent that I think is really funny in hindsight, given the fact that now Macy's making a feature in an influencer insanity video, but I used to follow her. I used to support her back in the day. I discovered Macy's account in August of 2022, and I remember it very vividly, and you'll know why in a minute. And I followed her for quite a while until she started entering her unrelatable era. Then I got the ick and then I left. But the reason I started following her in the first place is because I was in my first trimester of my pregnancy with my daughter, and my God, I was so sick. Nauseous all day, no appetite, nothing in my house food-wise sounded good. Everything was disgusting. It was miserable to get myself to eat, but for some unknown reason, Macy's videos appealed to me. Watching her make these little cutesy festive Pinterest recipes, I don't know, something about it made me feel hungry for once. It gave me even the slightest sense of an appetite when nothing else really could. Maybe because most of what she was posting was like comfort foods and things that were really quick and easy to make, because that was a whole thing. Like I could not spend time preparing food because then by the time I was done preparing it, I wouldn't want to eat it anymore. So I don't know, something about her account felt good to me at the time. I would literally sit on my couch and I would scroll Macy's account to work up an appetite so that I would go to the kitchen and find something to eat. It was a way of like hyping myself up to force something down. Anyway, it's kind of unrelated to the topic of this video, but just a really strange, silly connection. But the point is that I followed Macy kind of at the height of her humble, relatable phase, as I would call it. She's just starting out, she's getting big with her videos, they're gaining traction, and then I watched firsthand her decline into unrelatability. I wanted to show you a couple of the stark examples I found of what kinds of things she was posting in 2022 when I followed her compared to today. Here's how she decorated her front porch for Christmas 2022. Very stylish, very tasteful, and some might even feel like this itself was over the top. She's always been a little extra, okay? That's always been a thing, and that's why people like her. She's very detail-oriented, she has a great eye for decor, and even the things she was posting in 2022 are still kind of out of reach for most people, I would say. But I mean, if you break this down, it's a couple fake trees, it's some garlands, a few lanterns, and a rug. You could probably recreate something like this on a budget for a few $100s. Like, it's not shockingly over the top. I kind of think of it this way. She rode that line perfectly of being inspirational and aspirational. You'd watch her content and be like, whoa, that's impressive. But it wouldn't be so far out of the realm of possibility for you that you'd be like, oh, I could never achieve that. Do you know what I'm saying? It was easy to look at what she's posting and be like, oh yeah, I can pull inspiration from this. I can take bits and pieces of this and make it my own. But now, let's fast forward to Christmas of 2024, only 2 years later. Within that time frame, they moved from Indiana to Texas, and they moved into this absolutely gigantic house that looks like a freaking castle. And everything with the decor is leveled up a notch, or like 100 notches. The impression of her Christmas porch in 2022 was was like, oh yeah, my front porch kind of looks like that. I've seen decor like that at my local store. I could probably do something like this on a smaller scale. You can see yourself in the content. You can gain legitimate inspiration from it. That is what her platform was built on. That's why people loved her, because the content was approachable, realistic, and inspiring. But now, her Christmas front porch decor in 2024, no one's house looks like this. Most people don't live in Texas McMansions. Most people aren't gonna put a life-size sled in their front yard or these gigantic ornament statues next to the fountain in their driveway. It's clear that her content is not meant to be relatable anymore. It's meant to shock you. Here's another video she posted in 2024 showing off her interior Christmas decor, and this had my jaw on the floor. She's got multiple Christmas trees in every room. Everything's larger than life. It's so over the top. All I'm thinking of is like, where do you store this in the off season? Do you have a warehouse? Because you need a warehouse. She's really come a long way from making these little themed Pinterest desserts in her kitchen. Don't get me wrong, it's breathtaking. Her house is stunning. But this is the point where you go, okay, this is where we're losing Macy to the influencer wealth. Her content is not what I came here for. And this is another example of that. This is a video she posted decorating her living room for Halloween in 2022. Even this feels a little over the top for most people. It's a little extra, but it's still really cute. Then contrast that with Halloween 2025. Yes, you heard that right. 2025. She's posting Halloween content in June. If that doesn't prove to you that social media is a rat race and you have to be the first to do everything or else you're deemed irrelevant or behind, then I don't know what to tell you. But this is a Halloween themed video that she posted just a couple weeks ago in the middle of the summer, showing off her Halloween movie theater in her house. This is no longer inspiration. This is entertainment. People don't need inspiration on how to style their in-home theater because most people don't have an in-home theater. But it's entertaining to see somebody else with a lot of money decorate their in-home theater, I guess. And here was the setup for a Halloween party they threw last year in 2024. Obviously a professional level event, not something that most people can relate to. This is like, okay, you got money, honey. Good for you. I cannot relate to this, but this is the scale in which she's doing things now. This has become her norm. Here's yet another example. This is the video she posted for her daughter's birthday a couple years ago. They had a cake, they surprised her with a kitten, and they took this cute little video of her all dressed up in front of a sparkly backdrop, and that's it. You know, normal birthday things. I think most people could relate to this kind of birthday celebration, but fast forward to 2025, this is the birthday party that her daughter got this year. It's a golf-themed birthday bash with a merch shop, a mini golf course, a bar, a DJ, catering. And if you're wondering why this clip looks so familiar to you, that's because it made a big feature in Influencer Insanity episode 19 about influencers' kids' birthday parties and how they throw these insane events to sort of show off and exploit their kid's birthday to get some kind of social media clout out of it. But do you want to know some tea? Do you want to know some drama? I have some drama. Here's another tangent for you, but I promise it ties back in. When episode 19 went live, I posted a little promo reel to my Instagram like I always do to just like tease that the new video's out and give you a little taste of what's in it. And within just a couple hours of me posting that Instagram teaser, I got this comment from somebody named Mrs. Ryan Crosby. And it says, "Do you do this for a living? Bash on other moms that you don't even know? How embarrassing." And I laugh because I get comments like this a lot, to be honest. Occasionally people will comment on my stuff calling me like a jealous, broke, bitter hater or something when I call out influencers, so this wasn't particularly surprising. I've seen it thousands of times before, literally. But I did note the timing of this comment and how quickly after I posted my Instagram reel, she appeared to have found me. That is somewhat unusual. I definitely do get angry comments on everything I post, but it takes a few days for those people to find me because when I post something, it gets pushed out to my followers, to people who already follow me, already kind of agree with what I'm saying, already support me, and they leave supportive comments in return. So comments within the first few days of me posting something are generally positive. So it was surprising to see a comment of this nature so quickly after me posting it. These usually come in like within a few days to a few weeks after I post it. And I took note of the way that she wrote her comment and how it kind of seemed like she was taking something about my video personally. And I figured, she's probably one of those influencers who throws crazy parties for her kids for clout. Okay, she probably took offense to what I'm saying because it applies to her. And then I also saw that she commented a second time saying, "These comments sound broke and jelly." who says jelly anymore, oh my god. And she's referring to how at this point in time, a lot of the comments under this video were kind of agreeing with me and in support of my message. And she's insinuating that all these comments in support of me are coming from people who are just broke and jealous of her. She clearly takes offense to my video. That's fine. That's a her issue, not a me issue, so I just let it ride. But I did check back on these comments later, and somebody responded to Ryan saying how embarrassing for you that you went out of your way to find someone's page you don't even know or follow just to make that comment. Bothered much? And Ryan responds back directly to them and says, I am, lol. So now she's straight up admitting like she's bothered by my video. So I'm like, okay, who even is this person and why is she so bothered? And come to find out, Ryan is one of Macy's good friends. And oh, looky here, there's Ryan standing right next to Macy in my Instagram reel. So now it all clicks, right? Ryan's got her panties in a wad because she was featured in a video of mine that doesn't paint her or her friends in a favorable light. I get it. And at this point, another person chimes in on this comment thread and they say, from a short internet search, Mrs. Crosby married an old man for money, so with unlimited budget, these parties mean nothing to them. They're completely tone deaf when it comes to most ordinary families and the economy. Here's a photo of Ryan's husband that Macy posted on her Instagram story one time when they were all on his yacht together. Macy and Ryan and their other friends do appear to capitalize on his wealth quite frequently from what I can tell. This is a video that Macy posted to her own account for Ryan's 30th birthday, documenting how they rode on his private plane, for example. They did a 13 going on 30 themed party. It was very cute. Again, great attention to detail, but it's kind of connecting the dots between like Macy's unrelatable content and Ryan's husband's wealth. Here's another example of Ryan taking Macy on the private plane, presumably her husband's, to Los Angeles for an Oscars party, where they're sitting amongst celebrities and they're kind of at this exclusive event that Macy is filming and documenting to put on social media. So take all of this information and conclude what you will. The reason I bring this up at all is because Ryan actually responds to this person's comment and does not deny the fact that she's married to an old rich guy. Instead, she says, LOL, the whole point of being an influencer is living a life that is fun to watch online, not to be relatable. So this is how it all ties back into the conversation of influencers becoming unrelatable, and is that a good thing or a bad thing? Oh yeah, and by the way, Ryan deleted all of her comments on my account within just a couple hours because it seemed like she couldn't handle the heat of people replying to her. She did not block me though. Respect. So let's talk about this. Is an influencer's job to be unrelatable? Is there any truth to that? I think there is a sliver of truth to that, actually. Rich people tend to get a lot of engagement on social media because they are living a life that ordinary people want to peek into. By nature of being unrelatable based on your wealth, you have a lot of intrigued eyes like peeking through the curtains, like what does a life like that look like? So you get a lot of views, you get a lot of comments, you get a lot of engagement, whether that's positive or negative. It doesn't really matter in the eyes of the algorithm as long as people are engaged. So in that respect, I do understand this argument of like being unrelatable is an influencer's job because that's how you get views. However, influencers live or die by the support of their followers. And in order to gain and maintain some level of an organic following that you are supported by financially, you do need to be relatable on some level. If you're an awful person or you don't post anything of value or you get caught up in controversy or you get caught lying repeatedly or all you do is flaunt your wealth to the point where it is tacky and out of touch with reality, then people aren't gonna want to follow you anymore. People aren't gonna want to watch you. And if people don't watch you, then you don't make money on views. And if people don't like you as a person or they don't trust your product recommendations because you lie all the time, then you're not going to get sponsorships. The truth of the matter is, at the most simplistic level, your audience pays your bills. So you kind of want to keep that intact, don't you think? Becoming unrelatable is like a slow death in the influencer world, in my opinion. In Macy's case, as I said earlier, she created humble, relatable content to start off, then she made money off of it, then she reinvested that money to do bigger, more extravagant things. Because you're always trying to outdo yourself to keep your followers engaged. If you're not continually upping the ante in her field of content, people are going to get bored with you and they're going to leave and you're going to lose money. So in Macy's case, I would say that the path to becoming unrelatable is a strategy because it's what keeps people coming back and it's what keeps the money flowing. But doing things to this maximalist degree is a quick way to burn yourself out. Where do you go from here? How many more houses can you buy? How much nicer of a house could you buy? How many more decorations can you shove into these spaces? How long can you hold people's attention before they start to get bored and turned off because you've changed too much? You know, I guess we're gonna find out in coming years. Followers do seem to be disappointed that Macy went from being like a small town girl living in Indiana doing these Pinterest DIY recipes to now now moving to Texas, living in a mansion, hanging out with really rich influencers, and posting things that are getting harder and harder for people to connect with. Shifting gears here again, there was another influencer that was recommended to me for this video on the basis of body positivity, meaning they preached the message of body positivity and being comfortable in your own skin and loving yourself no matter what your body looks like, and they built their platform on those core values. And then they completely switched up. They changed their body in a drastic way that conflicts directly with the message that they've been preaching for years. And this stings the viewer really personally because it's regarding something that is deeply personal, which is your self-image and your relationship with your body. People are drawn to these creators because they're preaching a message that's really healthy to hear. They were good influences regarding teaching people how to be confident and happy in their own bodies. The best recent example of this is Clara. When I asked people for recommendations on which influencers I should cover in this video, Clara was the #1 most recommended person because of how shocking and upsetting this change was to her audience. Like, this truly might be the end of her social media success. I'm not even kidding. She has over 4 million subscribers on YouTube, and she also posts on Instagram and TikTok with a few million combined there. She has a massive level of influence, and she's been making videos regarding body positivity towards her smaller body in terms of accepting that she does have a pretty straight, thin build. She doesn't have curves, and in particular, she doesn't have boobs. That's what she talks about pretty much all the time. I'm not trying to pass judgment that she has a straight body with no boobs. That's like her own self-identifier pretty much that she's built her platform on. And she's also always identified online as somebody who was accepting and loving of that body type. She loved her flat chest. She really embraced it and people resonated with that. She was a great role model for those with a similar body type, communicating that you can feel confident and beautiful even if you don't have a curvy body type, and you certainly don't need plastic surgeries like a boob job or a butt lift in order to be happy. So imagine the horror when after 6 years of posting this body positivity and flat chest content, she randomly shows up on social media to announce that she got a boob job. People were they're so pissed off. And I think that anger is coming from a place of hurt and like personal betrayal. Like, how could you do this to us? You being accepting of your body made us accepting of ours. And now it all feels like a lie. Similar to what we talked about with Hubs.life earlier, by virtue of you changing to become the exact thing that you have taken a stand against, you're communicating the message that you weren't as happy before as you wanted us all to believe. You actually did want what you claimed you didn't care about. By getting a boob job, that confirms that you would have felt happier with a larger chest, something that you have been denying actively for years. But you know what? The truth always reveals itself. I believe that. People are not holding back in her comments. They are going so far as to quote her previous statements in previous videos. Quote, "Don't change a thing. You're beautiful just the way you are. Clara Dow 2024. 16,000 people liked that comment. Quote, "Plastic surgery doesn't change anything. It just makes you insecure. Clara Dow." Again, 16,000 likes on that one too. She announced her boob job on April 1st, and the comments of every single video she has posted in the last 3 months since have been ripping her to shreds for it. People are not letting this go. I'm worried that they're never gonna let this go. The internet is fast-paced, okay? Things do kind of blow over, people forget, but it's been 3 months and people are just holding on to this for dear life. She lost 150,000 subscribers on YouTube and at least 100,000 followers on TikTok so far. And she actually posted a video of herself addressing why she got the procedure done and kind of defending herself for it. So let's watch that.
Yes, I did have a boob job. I know this might come as a shock because my whole page used to be about loving my flat chest and being confident with it. I literally built my entire career and following around that. So why did I do it? Am I crazy? Was everything a lie? Was I secretly insecure this whole time and just use body positivity as a way to make money so I could finally afford a boob job? No, let me tell you the real reason why I did it. And it comes down to one word. Fun. For so long, I built this entire platform based on one mission, flat chest confidence. I was doing it for 6 years since 2019. I made over 900 videos on the topic. My mission for the longest time was I want to create content for my 16-year-old self and for all the girls who feel insecure like I did. And I really meant that. I poured my heart and soul into helping others feel normal, beautiful, and worthy. I became the face of the flat-chested body positivity community, and for the longest time, I loved it. But over time, I got bored. I started craving change. And the thing is, I know that as long as I kept my flat chest, I knew I could keep making content about it. The videos do so well, they bring in money, and people resonate with them. But I felt like I was staying in a comfort zone. It was safe, but it wasn't growth. And I wanted a shift in my content, in my message, and in how I express myself. I believe that whether you have big boobs, small boobs, flat chest, or medium-sized boobs, it doesn't matter. They all equally beautiful. I've just had this look, this aesthetic my whole life, and now I just want to see what the opposite feels like. For fun, for curiosity, for me. And yeah, I think it's pretty badass to do what no one expects of me. To show myself that I can do whatever the I want without needing anyone's approval. That, to me, is true confidence. So no, I didn't betray what I stood for. At every point in my life, I lived in alignment with my truth. Before, I loved my flat chest, and now I love my new chest. And if you're disappointed by my decision, I don't expect you to understand. Like, I understand and I respect how you feel, but I hope you know that your confidence and self-love are still yours to define. My flat chest literally gave me my dream life. And now, I'm simply stepping into a new chapter. One where I take life less seriously, have fun, and just do exactly what I want. Just like when I posted my very first YouTube video, do what you love. We just don't give a about what other people think and just go for our dreams. That's always been my deepest value. Back then, I wanted to help flat-chested girls feel confident. But now, I want to inspire people to break free, to be bold, to be brave, to be unapologetic, and to truly not give a about what others think. And of course, to have some fun. I'll share more in a long-form video, but for now, I just want to say thank you to everyone who understands and still supports me. May God bless you and everything you want to do. Love you so much. Bye.
Overwhelmingly, her followers are disappointed and very, very angry, and she felt the need to sort of address the controversy, I guess, in this video. But there's always a flip side. There is a portion of people in her comment section who are supportive of her change and are heavily relying on the idea of her body, her choice. That's a comment I've been seeing a ton. Like, oh, well, you support the idea of her body, her choice, but not when it comes to Clara Dow. Okay. They're calling out that double standard that like, oh, women are free to do whatever they want with their own bodies as long as it's what we want them to do. And when you phrase it like that, it's like, wait, yeah, shouldn't we be supportive of a woman doing what she wants with her own body? It quite literally doesn't affect us at all. So if she's happy and confident and that's what she wants to do to get plastic surgery, then let her do it. If we don't want a boob job, that's great. We don't have to get one. But if she wants one for herself, that's great. Support her doing it. I can definitely understand that side of it in that argument, and it does make me feel kind of sad to see how much hate she's getting, because ultimately this is her life. That is her body. It's her decision. She doesn't owe anybody anything. However, similar to the Hubs.life conversation from earlier, she transformed into the exact person she swore that she would never be. So she needs to accept some level of responsibility for that and not act shocked when she loses support. It's easy to say that her getting a boob job is her choice and it doesn't affect us, but actually in this specific situation, it does kind of affect us. She positioned herself as a role model of somebody to look up to, and her choosing to modify her body through plastic surgery does feel like somewhat of a betrayal. The issue maybe isn't with the boob job itself. Like, if you want one, then cool, do it. Just don't center your entire brand around how you're happy with your natural body when you're not actually happy with your natural body. Don't grow an entire online persona and make your whole living off of essentially lying to people about your true inside feelings. You can tell that the backlash is really starting to get to her. The next 3 things I'm going to show you, I actually labeled these files for my editor as Clara Crash Out 1, 2, and 3 because that's truly what this feels like. She is crashing out and posting things like this. She's mouthing the words, "I am fully aware of what y'all say about me, and I don't give an F," with the text of different popular angry comments that she's been receiving on the screen. This one says, "We paid for your plastic surgery," and she responds by saying, "No, babe, my parents did." Ugh, so not a good look, not a good look. This one, the song in the background that I can't play for you, says, "No one wants your opinion, F you," as she's addressing this her body, her choice argument that's been popping up a lot in her comments. It is so messy, you guys. She's clearly going through it and really struggling. Her boob job blew up up her entire social media existence and she does not know how to handle it. Is there any recovering from this? I'm not sure. It's not looking promising at this point. She's kind of becoming known as the boob job girl that everybody is mad at. And that's the opposite of what she's been trying to achieve for years. So I'm sure that she's like really rattled by that. That's the only word I can think of, is like she probably did not see this coming, which I don't know how you couldn't see it coming. I feel like she perhaps didn't think through this completely before deciding to do this. I'm sure she probably thought like, well, it's my body and I can choose to change it if I want, but she's not considering that like this is gonna have major negative implications for your social media brand. She did gain a lot of negative attention in the short term that's kind of boosted her views temporarily because of the controversy, but that's gonna die off eventually, and then where do you go from here? She built an entire brand off of something that she's not anymore, so what's next? She got the boobs she wanted, but at what cost? I never thought I would say that. I never thought those words would come out of my mouth. And really, that's kind of the moral to this entire video, is it not? Was the change worth the reward that you thought you were gonna get out of it? Is this what you thought you were gonna get out of it? Because if it is, I don't know that you would have made the decision to change, you know? I feel like this is the perfect storm of influencers just kind of thinking for themselves as a normal human would, doing things that they want to do that would make them happy, that would make them a better life for themselves. But it's so tricky when that life of your dreams is built on the support of others. You have to cater to that. The trend throughout this video is influencers who saw that the grass is greener, and I don't know that it actually is, and I don't know that they fully realized that yet, or they realized it once it was too late. Building your job on social media is very tumultuous, very sketchy, very rocky, and in a lot of ways it's pretty uncharted territory because this is the first generation where influencing is a job and people don't know how to navigate it yet. There's a lot of mistakes to be made and a lot of lessons to learn from the mistakes of others, and I think that's kind of the spot we're in right now. We don't have evidence yet of people who have made influencing their entire career. All we really have evidence for at this point is people who rose and fell. And yikes, that's pretty scary. And it makes you wonder in like this existential way, like, is everyone gonna fall? Is everyone gonna have a controversy? Is everybody gonna have a fall from grace moment? Is there such thing as like a perfect influencer or the perfect way to navigate influencing? And like, oh my gosh, I think about this so much because content creation is my current job as well. I've never considered that this would be something that I would do until I'm retired. I do understand that this is probably a temporary thing with an expiration date, and I'm just kind of going with it while I've got it, and I love it. But you best believe I have hawk eyes on like what other people are doing, how they're navigating things, so I can learn from their lessons. And like, okay, note to self, don't become the thing that you advocate against. Not that I would anyway, but it's like, whoa, that didn't play out well for them. And with all of that being said, I do tend to have more grace, I guess, towards influencers who are obviously lost and misguided and struggling in the moment, because like I said, it's uncharted territory. Nobody knows what they're doing, okay? So it is really fascinating, and this is a topic that consumes a lot of just my personal brain space in my day-to-day life, because as it pertains to me and kind of my social media journey, if you will, I started out making YouTube videos having absolutely no direction. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought maybe I would do some little vlogs, I would post about selling things on Poshmark because I did a little bit of that. I was getting my master's degree in teaching and I was substitute teaching, so I made some videos about my experiences with that. I did this workout program once and I made a review about how the workout program went. Like, I was all over the place just making videos completely for fun. And then one day I posted a video about anti-MLM, speaking out about how I think multi-level marketing companies are really harmful and that we should be avoiding them, and here's all the reasons why. That video kind of blew up. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm interested in this thing and other people are too. Let me pay attention to that. Let me lean into that. This is something I'm passionate about and other people are clearly interested, so maybe I have something to offer this space. And I very regularly posted anti-MLM content every single week for like 3 years. And I'm still posting anti-MLM content to this day and I still really do love it, but I can relate a little bit to like, oh, I've really put myself in a box here, or maybe I'm getting a little burnt out, or maybe I need to just kind of branch out and incorporate new things to keep it fun and exciting. And it was in January of 2024 that I launched the Influencer Insanity series. And that was a very big risk for me. I was so scared. Oh my God, I was so scared because I was worried that it would turn out like these influencers in this video where it's like, oh, she's changed. We don't like her anymore. You know, like revoke the support. And it's very terrifying. Thankfully, because it wasn't that big of a jump to do the influencer series from the anti-MLM stuff, it's still kind of related. I think that if you found me through one series, you'll probably enjoy the other. They're not that different. I think that helped a lot, right? Because it's not a complete shift. I'm not totally alienating the anti-MLM crowd that I was sort of built on, if you want to call it that. I achieved my first 100,000 subscribers from the anti-MLM videos, and that took me 3 years to get to 100,000. And with the incorporation of the influencer insanity videos, now I'm at 700,000 like a year and a half later. And that's the coolest thing. And I'm so grateful. I never in a million years would have imagined that incorporating influencer videos would kind of skyrocket my channel in that direction. And thank God it did, because it really could have gone south. It really could have gone the complete opposite way. And so it's not lost on me that I'm sort of reporting on these instances of other influencers who had the same desires I did to add something new, to switch it up, to evolve, to change as humans should. But it didn't work out for them in the same way that it has appeared to work out for me up until this point. And so I consume so much of my mental energy analyzing why. And so for those reasons, this video did feel pretty personal to me and also very interesting to me. There's a lot of aspects about it that I love talking about, if you can't tell. And all that being said, I would love, love, love to hear your thoughts about this as well. And I'll take this opportunity to say thank you so much for being here. I say that at the end of every video actually, but just let me reiterate it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to what I have to say by some miracle. Thank you for your support of my channel through the years and how it has evolved, because I am deeply aware that the success of these videos, the success of my channel, it's not really all that much up to me. It's up to the support of viewers. And for that, I don't have words for. I am so deeply grateful. I feel like I really just spilled my guts and I had no outro written for this video, and I ended up telling you like my entire origin story on YouTube, like how my content has evolved. So anyway, not what I meant to do, but I think it does serve to reiterate that like I understand the consequences of people just becoming somebody that you can't relate to or you don't identify with, or somebody that they never previously were. And I have tried so hard to navigate my shift in content as graciously as possible. I feel like it's worked out to this point, and you are to thank for that. Thank you for being tolerant of me stepping out and trying something new. And it's a really big value of mine that I keep myself grounded and that you keep me grounded and you keep me accountable. And I swear to God, if I start stepping out of line like these influencers do, tell me about it, okay? Put me in my place. If you see me going down this pipeline, be like, Hannah, get it together. And don't worry, I trust that you will. I trust that you will, because you always let me know your thoughts. So thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to what I have to say. Let me know your thoughts down below. And before you go, thanks again to Paired for sponsoring today's video. Check out the link in the description box below for 7-day free trial plus 25% off Paired Premium. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support over the years, and I'll see you in my next one real soon.